Thanks, Jeff, for talking to us today. Could you start with your full name?
Do you want my real name or do you want my?
Yeah, you're given, and your nickname. Yeah.
It's Elizabeth Brainard, and my nickname is Chip. I go by Chip.
Do you have a middle name?
I said Elizabeth Ann.
No, you didn't.
Oh, didn't I say Elizabeth Ann? No, that Ann is
Yeah.
Elizabeth Ann.
Now, who were your parents?
Pardon?
Who were your parents?
Ray and Noni Crawford. Lived in Crawford Lane.
What's your greatest memory of childhood growing up here in Germantown?
I would say probably the school and friendships that I made there. Back in those days, each class in the high school area where we had lockers, each class had their own little section. You know that, so you saw the same people
Yeah.
in the lockers.
How many children were in your school class?
I think it was 36. I think it was in that number.
So you were a little bit before the classes started to get really big.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah. In fact, when I was in 6th grade, that was the first year that they split us.
Okay.
My class.
Among two teachers.
Yeah.
instead of just one.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had Mrs. Berger in 6th grade and Mrs. Snyder.
Who are some of the other teachers that you see us that?
Well, 1st grade, I had Mrs. Lasher.
Okay.
2nd grade, I had Mrs. Fraley. 3rd grade, I had Mrs. Henderson. 4th grade, I had Mrs. Pear, I think. She married, and I can't remember what her name. And where am I? 5th grade, Miss Gruntler. 6th grade, Mrs. Snyder. And then high school.
Yeah.
That was a whole
Who
new
were,
ballgame.
who were some of your favorites from high school?
Teachers?
Yeah, teachers.
Oh, Tom Durkish was the best.
What did he teach?
History?
History.
Yeah. And I think I had him for all the histories. I mean, we didn't have any teachers.
Yeah.
So
Were you involved in any sports?
I
in
was
high
trying to
school?
think too, the other teacher was Mr. Brenzel.
Mr. Brendel, okay.
And you probably,
Well, I grew up next door to him. Yeah.
oh.
I knew him pretty well. Yeah. I never had him in school.
Well,
Retired.
he used to get frustrated with me because I absolutely hated geometry. I had a hard time passing the regents. I could pass the class and do fine. The regents got to me, so.
Still a tough test today.
Yes, right.
So what year did you graduate high school?
1961.
And
And
back
then-
then they had graduation in the gymnasium.
No, we were outside.
Oh, you're outside. Okay.
Yeah, we were lucky we didn't rain or anything, but yeah, no, we had it outside. So I don't think they had too many in the gymnasium. And either before or after me, I think we went outside as much as we could. So that's what they.
Where did life take you after high school?
After high school, I went to a small school in North Carolina for a year. And then I decided I really wanted to be a teacher. So I went in and went to school with nuns. And the dean of students said, if you want to be a teacher, you need to go back to New York and get your degree. So that's what I did. I went to Oswego. Mhm.
Did you do your master's degree there too? Or?
I didn't
didn't you?
have, I took classes towards my master's, but I never finished it.
Where did you end up teaching school?
Union Springs, New York, so by Finger Lakes, Ithaca, there. That was my first teaching job. Second teaching job was in Cortland. Yeah, because my husband then was dean of students there. So we lived in for a year, and then went to Missouri so he could get his doctorate.
So when did you get married? When did you meet him in that life?
He was in college with me.
Okay. In college.
Yeah, and then when we went to Missouri, I taught third grade. And then when I went back to school, working on towards my master's, I took early childhood classes. And I liked it a lot. It was different than teaching school, but you were all ages. And I just stayed with that, and then got a job at a community college being the director of the child care center. And I was there for about 30 years.
Oh.
So,
Where was that located?
the community college outside of Kansas City, Missouri. Lisa, yeah, you would know that.
But the camera doesn't know that.
No, that's right.
What are some, you were the oldest of the Crawford children.
Uh-huh.
So what are
Seven.
some memories you have of your Crawford grandparents and your Allardyce grandparents?
Oh, I saw my Allardyce grandparents almost every weekend. My dad would put me on a train at 2:00, would come to the station here in Germantown.
Yeah.
And I'd get on the train and I'd get off the Grand Central Station. My grandfather was there waiting.
How old were you?
Gosh, when I want to say
Teens?
before that, I would say 12.
Well, so you were being sent on the train by yourself down to.
Yeah, but Daddy knew the conductor, and the conductor kept an eye on me, so I was,
Okay.
but yeah. So that was, and the Crawford ones, they lived in town here, so we saw them all the time. Well, most of the time, yeah.
Where did your Crawford grandparents live?
In the village. I can't even think of the name of the store. It was an old gas station type store, and they lived in a house.
Was it Rudy Bloom? Rudy Bloom's tire shop and
Yes, I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Store.
Well, and now, well, the Helsleys used to live across the street, so that's. Yeah.
What were their names? Your Crawford grandparents?
Leland and Edith. Yeah. Edith was, her maiden name was Rockefeller, so that's how we got into
At that house. Yeah.
Sure.
Do you remember any stories they used to tell about their lives or?
Not Grammy Crawford that much, or my grandfather that much. They just didn't talk about themselves. They were more interested in us kids.
Yeah.
Doing stuff, so that. Now the Allardyces, on the other hand, they would come up from the city because my grandfather was sent there with Atlas Cement.
Yeah.
And I would go down to the city a lot, as I said before, and those are my recollections.
Okay.
So would you go down there for a week or for a weekend or what?
When I got old enough to go by myself, most of the time I went for the weekend. And then on vacations, like school breaks or whatever, sometimes I would go down there and sometimes I, just depended on weather and whatever else was going on at the time.
What do you remember about the Germantown train station?
Oh, gosh. It was a really neat building. Nice wooden benches, the old time railroad
Yeah.
type, and there was always somebody in there selling tickets. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
was it a local person or is it,
yeah, it was a
do you
little,
remember?
I know, I can't remember who it was, but you could go down there. There was always somebody in there.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
When did, do you remember the lumberyard? Tell us about the lumberyard. that you-
Oh, the lumberyard. Well, the lumberyard was in our family for a long time. My grandfather Crawford married my grandmother, who was a Rockefeller, who owned the lumberyard.
Which lumberyard?
There's only one in town. Crawford. Hello, Crawford.
Palatine Park Road.
Yeah.
What's now Palatine Park Road? And maybe-
Yes, down toward the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember anything. other than that. Probably.
So your grandfather started that business? on
He
land
took over
that
for
is-
the Rockefellers. I mean,
Oh, okay.
Rockefellers were big into ice, and that was one thing. And I think they did have some lumber.
Oh, yeah, so the lumber, one of your siblings said the lumber business started down at the bottom of Main Street by the railroad tracks. And
Yeah,
then they moved up
right.
the middle of town.
Did you ever walk that hill?
A lot, yeah, quite a few times.
He lives down there.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Well,
Sure.
Oh,
but
okay. Say no more, I know. Yeah, where you are, yeah. You go through the fields and get to your house.
That's right, yeah. Speaking of, did you ever walk that road behind the cold storage down to Cheviot?
No, I didn't, I stayed away from
Oh,
there.
okay, yeah. All right. What are your memories of the ice house on the pond near your grandparents' house?
I don't remember a thing.
Oh,
The
really?
ice
Oh,
house.
no, okay.
Now, the ice house was standing, but it was never used in my, yeah, no. Yeah. I could just, no, I didn't walk the back.
Oh, okay.
But I do, we walked across the field from our house to your family's
To
house.
the Main Street, yeah. There you go, America Road.
Yeah.
That's good.
Now, Billy is what relation to you?
Well, I have a brother Billy and an uncle Billy.
Your uncle must
My
be.
uncle, he's my uncle. Yeah, he's Leland.
He's Leland's age,
Yeah.
yeah, Billy, yeah,
Billy Rogers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
senior, I guess, bigger. Well, not bigger, but older.
Older.
Yeah, older is a good word.
Yeah.
And then your, his mom would be your grand, yeah,
Alma Rogers.
Yeah.
Michael Rogers.
we took piano lessons. Ellen, yeah. She was a nice. I liked her a lot.
So, what do you remember about her,
But
other than the piano?
Yeah. But she played for everything. I mean, she was the music in town. Yeah, yeah, she was. She was really, and she didn't mind, you know. That was, but she made it look easy. And I'd get home and I'm going, oh, how to do this? Yeah,
So how often would you go to piano lessons?
once a week.
Once a week.
Yeah. But either Ellen would go first or I would go first, and then we walk back across the field.
How many paths were there going across the field? You'd go down to there?
Well, no, because we had one that went to your house. And then one that went to over by the Bullards. And what was the other family that lived in the big white house?
Vinegar.
Vinegar. No, well, they were on the other side of,
Oh,
they were on the other side of. Yeah. I'm trying to. They had Roger.
sure, and Dot. Nickel.
Well,
No,
I knew
yeah,
Lauren was in my
Oh.
class. So
They were up the hill. They were.
yeah, they were up the hill.
Yeah, I can't think of who else lived
I
there.
can't think of in that big White House that's still there. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't think of it either.
Yeah,
So it's two main paths.
Yeah,
through
yeah.
there.
and we had to walk to school every day.
That's right, yeah.
A lot of people laugh, but they say you're telling stories again. I said, no, we did walk
Yeah.
to school. The only time we didn't walk was if it was raining, and then Dad would come down to the lumberyard and pick us up and take us to school, or send one of the guys.
Yeah.
And then, or snow.
Okay.
Otherwise, we walked. And we had,
Leland said he remembers walking in snow up to his arm.
oh,
That's all talk.
oh, yes. Yes, that is him. But yeah,
They
no.
also mentioned family of geese. That
Oh, we
that the
did,
Fuller's had.
well, but it was one
There's
or two.
There's one really crotchety
Oh,
goose.
yes, he used to chase us. We would try to sneak past him, but he was always on the lookout, so he did, and he nipped.
Oh, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Did you play around in the creek or play around in the river like a lot of the boys did?
We stayed away from the river. Well, Daddy we had to be, we couldn't do that. For swimming purposes, we went to Dale's Bridge.
Okay.
Right. That's where we used to swim, and I did swimming lessons from there too.
So your name,
I worked for the town.
You were one of the first lifeguards, if not the first
The
lifeguard.
first, yeah, the first
Okay.
one. So, yeah.
Now,
But
what was it like there before the town opened swimming there? Did people just swim on their own before that?
Yeah, pretty much so. And I don't remember doing a whole lot of,
that was at Dale's Bridge, you're saying me.
yeah. The town fixed it up, and it was really quite nice. They put a sandy beach in, and they had places where people could sit, picnic tables and stuff where people could.
Were there ever accidents there where someone actually did drown or anything?
Nope. And there were some little darling boys that when I was lifeguarding, they'd go try to jump off the bridge.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
Yeah, yeah, they
yeah.
did.
What year is this? What year did you start lifeguarding?
Oh, it was when I was, I think, a senior. No, I had to be in college.
Oh,
Oh,
summer, it's coming back in the summers.
Because
so-
the Red Cross paid for me to go to aquatic school. So I did that for 10 days. And then came home and started teaching swimming lessons and lifeguarding.
So this would be about 1964.
I was- I graduated in 61.
So probably 62 or 63.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I,
So the Dale's Bridge opened in what, 1960, the new Dale's Bridge.
oh, the one that's there
Yeah, the
now.
ones that are-
Oh, that
few
was
years
quite a while
before
after
that.
I left.
I was after.
Yeah.
So the boys were jumping up the old bridge.
Yes, and they'd go up around a bend,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then there was a spot.
Up- Upstream. of the
Yes,
same area. So do you have any other close calls where you had to jump in and save? kids?
No, because the water, it really wasn't that deep,
It's very shallow.
but yeah. But it was good for teaching swimming because the kids were not afraid.
Yeah.
You know, that they could at least touch the bottom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Were there any other lifeguards or were you the only?
I'm pretty sure I had to hire another one because I couldn't stay there all day.
All day?
Yeah. Yeah, I know we did, but you know who was in charge of all this? Was Coach Brown,
Oh,
who
okay.
he was, what, a basketball, he was the athletic
History
department.
teacher.
Yeah, and
Athletic
yeah, and he was a counselor.
Okay.
And that's how, he's the one who hired me, and then he hired the others. I didn't do that.
Did you ever, so you just dealt directly with him? You didn't have to talk to like Jay Moore or anything
No,
like that.
no. Jay Moore, gosh, that's a name from the past.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about him?
Him, oh yeah, he was nice. He was a nice guy. The one thing I do remember is in the wintertime, we would ice skate on the pond up in the village. Not five, there's two.
Fire
One's a
Pond is
fire
closer
pond.
to the road.
Right.
They actually cut ice up one
Yeah,
further back. That's where people would skate.
yeah, that's right. And I remember Jay Moore and his wife were the most gorgeous skaters.
Not really.
It's like ice dancing
Okay.
on the, and, oh, they were fantastic. And people would actually, on Sunday, a lot of people in the town would come down and go ice skating. I do remember that. And then the Lions Club built the little, it was a
Built
little
a small cabin or
Yeah.
something. Huh?
shack, whatever you
Yeah,
want to
shack.
call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice though. Get out of the cold for a little
Oh,
bit.
it was, yeah. You saw your toes out.
Where was the town hall back then?
Oh, it was in the garage with the, in the garage with the town trucks.
Oh,
And
It's
it's,
where the municipal parking is now,
oh,
across from the post office.
okay.
right,
That's what
yeah.
town hall was.
Okay.
And that's,
Supervisor had a tiny little office about the size of this desk. You know,
and the library was in that.
And the library is in there too.
Yes, so, yeah, it was a jack of all trades
It was,
building.
absolutely, yeah. Now, an old interview with Dow Hoover Senior said that building was originally like a skating rink, like a roller skating rink. That was what it was originally built as.
Really? I did
According
not know
according
that.
to
I
old
did
Dow.
not know that. I may have been told that.
And he said it didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Went out of business pretty soon thereafter.
Yeah,
It
'cause I
sounded
never-
like it at some point.
Yeah, I never remember roller skating. It's just
Well,
always.
he's another couple generations
Sure,
older.
yeah. Oh, yeah, he was, yeah.
You remember much about him? When you
Jay
were-
Moore,
Oh, no, Dow Hoover.
not a lot. The only thing, senior, you were talking about
Senior,
senior, yeah.
They
Um,
actually weren't senior and junior. They had different middle names, but everybody called them senior.
Junior, yeah. The senior, the older gentleman was a friend of my grandfather's, and they would go fishing a lot up in Canada. Every year, the two of them, and some others, I'm sure too. But Dow Hoover himself, I know he had a little gas station. Repair shop?
Electrician shop. He was an electrician, I think, by trade.
Was he? You sure that's not his son?
I think they both were.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, Dow Hoover Jr., he was way much older than I. I knew who he was,
Yeah.
but I didn't. Now, his dad, on the other hand, I knew through my grandfather, because they were with, so. Yeah.
What do you remember about some of the storefronts? And do you remember the post office being built on Main Street?
Yeah, I know.
I think that
I
lot.
barely remember it being built. I know it was in a vacant lot, but beside Bonesack's house.
Yeah.
Back in there, but that,
Yeah, don't remember. Do you remember the Joanna Eckert
yes,
running the central house
Running the central house.
yeah,
before?
Before.
Riders,
yeah, I do remember that. We had my wedding rehearsal dinner
that's
at the
central
central
house.
house.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That Mrs. Eckert was still.
I don't think, yes, she was.
Because her husband died, and then she ran it by herself
So
for
for a long
20
time.
years or more.
And they had on that one side, business, that little bar
That's right.
on the side.
Yeah.
We were forbidden to go in there.
And when did Lou
Sure.
take over?
Ooh,
Blue Riders.
Lou? Who's living here?
Had to be late 60s or early 70s. But,
Ah, so he only owned it for a short time, really.
Who?
Lou Reinders,
I don't
he was the
remember that name.
proprietor of the Central House in,
Oh.
in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, I don't remember him at all.
Okay.
He was, I must have been long gone.
But you said you were forbidden from going into.
Yeah,
the
Daddy
library.
didn't, oh, no, we were not allowed to even peek in the door.
Just Central House or any bar?
Basically that one, because that one was so handy.
Okay.
If you want to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, only 2 doors down from here.
Right,
2 doors
yeah. But yeah, and the IGA,
down. They're right across
the street, yeah, and the other little store.
IGA?
IGA is where the,
Grandula. It became Grandula, but
But yeah.
before it was Grandula, it was
IGA.
the Steer family.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
okay,
ran that
Yeah.
store, and it was an IGA.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And they had a family living upstairs too that had a lot of kids. I can't remember their last name either, but.
But you remember the Steer family
Mhm.
running that?
Yeah, I had the girl, Ellen, was in my class. And then her father and her father and her uncle were the Steer. They're the ones who ran the store. Central Market, that wasn't it Central Market? That's-
Central Market was Tracy
One-
Rockefeller, and then I'm not sure after him.
Right,
I'm not sure who ran it like when you were a kid,
yeah,
but Tracy Rockefeller opened it in the 20s and ran it for quite a while after that.
well,
Another relative.
yeah.
Do you remember, what do you remember about the old doctors? The old town doctors that we used to have?
Dr. Henry,
Hugh Henry.
yeah, Dr. Henry had the little building opposite the Grandula.
Yeah.
And that was where he had his office.
Where Finger
And then
yeah.
then we had another one in town, Dr. Katita and Dr. Shrow, no, he was a dentist, and Dr. Orr. Dr. Carpenter, that was another one.
That's right.
So, yeah,
Who did your parents use?
mother used herself, no. A lot of people did go to her for shots.
Oh, that's right.
Stuff in the refrigerator, but otherwise, well, Dr. Orr was the last one I think we had. And before him was Dr. Katita. Mel there for a couple of years and back. I think maybe Dr. Carpenter was there for a long time too. Did you ever? You never.
I don't remember any. I
No.
don't remember any of these guys.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, back then the town board would appoint the town doctor, and they would have rights to make house calls to the town.
Right, yeah, yeah, we always had,
It was kind of a coveted
yeah.
gig.
Mhm, yeah. Yeah, Dr. Orr was one that when Raymond got really sick, Dr. Orr came down, Mommy was somewhere with Dennison and David, I think, and they were both going to have their tonsils out at the same time, and then Raymond got sick. And Dr. Orr, I think, was our family doctor, then to the town doctor. And he carried instruments to do an EKG.
And Raymond,
Yeah,
after Mommy already gave him a shot of penicillin.
she didn't give him a shot of penicillin.
Okay.
She
Heard
was-
that was differently from other people, but okay.
She didn't. Did Raymond say that?
I forget which sibling.
The blending out, yes.
Because I don't remember. Mommy did it. Mommy spent a lot of time during those few days up in the hospital with Dennison and David, because they were real little and they were getting their tonsils out. And that's when I noticed Raymond limping. And I said something to Daddy, and Daddy called.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, you know, different stories evolve here.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, she did give shots, but she didn't, not that.
We heard from one of the other siblings is that she called the doctor. She called the doctor and the doctor authorized her to give a shot.
Well, that's very possible. Because he knew she did give shots, but
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I just know that Raymond then went in the hospital and he was in there for a long time. A couple months.
Mhm.
So.
What do you remember about the Memorial Day parades along Main Street?
I marched in a lot of them with the Girl Scouts. Yeah, they have it easy nowadays.
Yeah, they do.
They don't march up the hill
They
from the
take
train
bus, they
station.
take bus.
Yeah, right. We started down at the train station and marched up that hill and then marched up the next hill. And so we got to the cemetery and then we marched back
All the way back down.
to school, and that was where we stopped. By that time, we were all dead tired.
Yeah, so those parades, they started at the train station, did they stop at the World War I? monument?
Yes. Mhm. That was always the first stop. Yeah. And then we go in the village and they play a piece of music
Mhm.
and then move on to the cemetery where they had their,
Were you in the band?
oh, I was Girl Scout. And the Girl Scouts marched as well as the Brownies, Cub Scouts, the whomever. Yeah. And then you'd always have the veterans. They were always on a float or something sitting. So it was a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
What do you remember about some of the neighbor families, like the Andrews and some of the other families that lived nearby?
Well, the Andrews, I babysat a lot for them. And
For Andrea and. for the other
yeah,
kids?
Andy was a
Billy.
little bit older, Andy, Billy, and what's the other one? The girl, the youngest.
Debbie?
Deborah,
So Debbie is the daughter.
Yeah, Debbie.
Deborah, Andrea. Well, yeah, Doc.
Yeah,
Doc,
right. Yeah, right. And let's see, who else? Let's see, Andrews. The Roses lived across the street too. From the Bullets.
Bone sacks, you're right. Kind of, or they're invested in the pool, right?
Oh, yes, yeah, the little pool behind Flowell.
So did you guys go up there and swim at the pool?
Well, unless we were invited,
Oh, okay.
we didn't. We had our own little blow-up pools, sprinklers or whatever we had, so, yeah. I wish I could think of that. People that lived in that White House that was behind, I can't remember their names. That's, there was another couple too, another family, but I cannot remember their name.
So can I make some questions? So, how did you get your name, Chip? Chip.
I was given it when I was a baby.
Why?
And it stuck because I look like a little chipmunk all curled up in my bassinet.
By whom?
By whom? Who called me that?
Yeah. Wasn't it your father?
I saw it in a letter that my dad wrote to my mom, but I was always told that my mother always told me that it was one of her best friends named me that.
And so so you were born 43, I think.
Yes, yeah.
And when did Daddy?
He was overseas.
He was overseas. So Mommy and Daddy got married when and da.
They got married in I want to say 60, or let's see, I was born in 63.
12, 1942.
Two. Yeah. And then Daddy was trained by Patton,
Yeah,
and they were set to move to go overseas with Patton and his group, and their papers were lost or misplaced or something. And so Daddy got sent, that group of men that he trained had to wait, and then they followed behind, but they were always behind that. So
Your mother was a war bride, really, right?
I guess you could say that. She was a nurse. I mean, she went to nursing school.
She finished.
Oh, yeah, she got a degree from, well, she went to College of St. Rose in Albany, but I don't think she finished there because she went to St. Vincent's Hospital in New York. And she got her degree there, and then she got her, or was almost finished with her master's degree in nursing. And that's when Daddy got the orders that he was going to be shipped. And so
I thought they went to Kentucky and they went to California somewhere in the way.
What?
Didn't they live in Kentucky for a while and they moved?
Yes. And yeah.
So, but they had a short period of time that they got engaged and married and.
Right. Well, when he found out, he just decided she upped, and she had one class left that she was taking. I don't think she went and got married, and then they've moved to Kentucky around Louisville. And then Patton was shipped to California so that they could be in the desert.
Yeah.
And
Do you know how your mother and father met?
no, but I do know that my dad and my mother's brother were good friends, Uncle Jack.
Oh, okay. So
Um,
that could be the connection.
yeah, but they didn't talk about that a whole lot, unless we tried, but we didn't get very far.
So this was 1942, they got married.
Right.
And then he shipped off to war, and then you're born in 43.
Yeah, but you're making it sound too close together, and it was not. That.
Well, I'm just trying to say that he went to war and then you were born.
Right.
And then, so he didn't get to.
No, he didn't get to see me until I was 2. He came home the day before my 2nd birthday. So,
I just think that's an important piece of history.
oh, yeah.
And so he would get pictures of you and letters. That's
Yes,
how-
she wrote a lot. Yeah,
Do you have any surviving letters that you wrote back and
I
forth?
do, but I'd have to dig.
That would be nice to get into the histories.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know where they should be, but I've moved a couple times. So.
Yeah, I understand. And do you have any other questions, Yvonne?
See, Chip, is there anything else you'd like to think should go into the history about Germantown or that Crawford family or all of these sisters?
Not off the top of my head, but
Well, there's Manny.
Come on over. Oh, yeah.